You're broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round, and you can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains.
Good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Rankin, Mon Valley, Pittsburgh section of the National Council of Negro Women. My name is Delores Dupree, section president, and joining me is our first vice president, Alecia Gibbs. We thank you all for who have participated in the past, and we hope that you participate again in this program. Today we will discuss our 8th annual Legacy Awards Luncheon, and with us we have a special guest, Ms. Ernestine Taylor, and she will discuss at least one of our honorees. She's a member also, and I'm glad that she could join us today. This program satisfies at least one of our national goals, which is to support traditional values, and this luncheon has become a tradition in our section. It was inspired by the legendary Dr. Dorothy I. Height, who grew up in Rankin, Pennsylvania. Well, welcome to the program this evening. Thank you so much for taking time out to join us today and honoring some of the outstanding ladies that are being honored this year. We'd also like to inform our viewing and listening audience that the third caller with a legitimate call or comment or question couldn't receive a ticket to our luncheon, a free ticket. So if we say that you're the third caller, stay on the line and give your name and your address or telephone number so that we can get the ticket to you. So we hope you call in. And before we discuss the honorees though, Alecia, do you want to tell us a little bit about this year's luncheon since you're the chairperson again this year and you did a great job last year, and we hope to show some clips of last year's show.
Certainly.
Can you show the flyer while she's talking a little bit about the luncheon?
Certainly. Thank you, Delores. I'm excited to talk about our upcoming 8th Annual Legacy Awards Luncheon, which will take place on Saturday, March 24th from noon until 3 p.m. at the Hosanna House Ballroom on Wallace Avenue in Wilkinsburg, PA. Let me share a little history with you. One of our members, Deneen Hood, she's currently our recording secretary. Back in 2009, Deneen suggested to the membership that we recognize women 80 years or older who are doing extraordinary work to preserve and advance African American history and culture. So our section took this suggestion under consideration, and we instituted the African American Heritage Legacy Award. Our first luncheon was held in March 2010 at the Rankin Christian Center in Rankin, PA. Now the purpose of the award is twofold. First, to honor unique women who are 80 years or older who have made significant contributions in one or more of the following categories. It could be church, civic and social organizations, museums, fraternity, sororities. It could be education and or entertainment. And second, our purpose is a stimulus to young women of African American descent to pick up the baton, as they say, and make positive advancements to move our people forward. So some of our recent awardees include Dorothy Beavers. Some of you may know Rose Cheriton, Mother Irene Davis, Wilma Delaney, Dr. Mary H. Page, and Ethel Williams. And we have a few clips of these women during our 2017 luncheon that you'll see during our program this evening. You may also be familiar with some of the past awardees, such as Jean Bryant, Alma Speed Fox, Gladys Nesbitt, and Bariki Hall Shabazz, just to name a few. This year's luncheon, our guest speaker is Dr. Margaret Larkins Pettigrew, and our mistress of ceremonies is Sonia Toller. We will be entertained by soloists, by poets, and by musicians. We are enthusiastically excited about this luncheon this year.
Thank you. So before we, well, let's talk about this year's honorees first of all. We'll go alphabetically, and what we'll do is we'll show a picture and then we'll read her bio. And some of you who are viewing, if you know anything about any of the honorees, or if you know anything about our luncheons in the past or the luncheon that is coming up, please give us a call. Okay, so we'll do Dr. Janet Bell first. Please show her picture and we'll read her bio.
Good evening. Dr. Janet Bell Hatcher. Janet was born in January 4th, 1933 in Braddock, Pennsylvania to parents Prince and Annalie McClam. At an early age, she was baptized in New Hope Baptist Church in Braddock. While attending there, she belonged to a quartet, choirs, and the Missionary Society. Janet graduated from Braddock High School, ranking in the top quarter of her class. While attending high school, she belonged to the orchestra and choir and was also a member of the Girls Reserve, a YWCA teen group. After graduating from high school, she attended Duquesne University, where she received a bachelor and master's in education. While attending Duquesne, she was initiated into Delta Sigma Theta sorority. She also served as an advisor to Y teens and as a summer camp counselor. Later, Janet received a PhD in curriculum and supervision from the University of Pittsburgh. She also received a certificate of administration from the Bank Street College of New York. After graduating from Duquesne, Janet began her teaching career in Cleveland, Ohio, teaching first and second grades. Later, she returned home to teach in Rankin and the Pittsburgh Public Schools. In Pittsburgh, she taught all elementary grades and also adult evening classes. While teaching in Pittsburgh, she was appointed to the position of team leader, then to various positions such as Dean of Students in middle schools, Assistant Principal of Belmar Elementary, and Principal of Madison and Westwood Schools. In 1992, she was appointed Deputy Superintendent of the Pittsburgh Public Schools. Finally, she served as a supervisory principal until she retired in 1997. During her tenure in Pittsburgh Public Schools, she served on the district's strategic planning committees, multicultural program committee, school improvement committee, and the Middle States Association for Elementary Schools. She was successful in attaining the Middle States accreditation for Westwood Elementary. After Janet retired in 1997, she found that her career was not finished. From 1998 to 2003, she was hired as an adjunct professor at California University of Pittsburgh. She taught administration and curriculum courses to teachers aspiring to become principals. Also in 1998, one of the highlights of her career occurred when she successfully planned and implemented the Urban League of Pittsburgh Charter School until she retired in 2002. During her tenure at the school, she was a member of the Pennsylvania Education Policy Fellowship Program. Immediately after retiring from the charter school, she led a group of the teachers to attain the school's accreditation from the Middle States Association for Elementary Schools. While working professionally, she found time to serve some community initiatives. She was one of the founders of East Borough's branch of the NAACP, a member of the Program to Aid Citizens Enterprises, which is called PACE. She served 26 years as a member, including 2 years as chairperson, and also a member of Resurrection Power Incorporated, which was affiliated with Resurrection Baptist Church. She also served on the board of directors for Braddock Library. Janet has always been actively involved in her churches, New Hope, Resurrection, and Homewood AME Zion. Due to her love of singing, she belonged to the choirs in all 3 churches. She is a founding member of Resurrection Baptist Church, where she has held the position of trustee, servant leader of the scholarship committee, and a member of both the missionary and women's ministry. Janet was previously married to Maurice Bell Sr., the father of her 2 sons, Maurice Jr. and Sean. She is the proud grandmother of Paula, Nicole, Sean Jr., and Mara, along with 5 great-grandchildren. Later, in a senior wedding, she married Theodore Hatcher. Janet has received many honors and awards, but not limited to award for closing the achievement gap between black and white students from the University of Pittsburgh, a Fulbright scholarship to study in Ghana, Africa from the Board of Education and the University of Pittsburgh. She was honored for attaining 65 years of service to Delta Sigma Theta, honored for attaining 26 years of retirement by the PA Association of School Retirees, And she was also honored as founder of the Urban League of Pittsburgh Charter School at the 20th anniversary that was held this year. Janet loves to travel. She has traveled extensively in many parts of the world, and she is blessed to have many friends and family who supported her throughout her life. Janet gives thanks to the Lord for guiding her through all of her life. Her favorite scripture that she lives by is Psalms 121. I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Congratulations to Dr. Janet Bell Hatcher.
That was nice. I like the picture too. That just exemplifies who she is. She's so exuberant, you know what I mean? 80. You'd never believe that she was that age, you know?
Right.
Okay, the next picture we shall see and talk about will be Mrs. Elma Burgess. Mrs. Elma Burgess. Please show her picture. Thank you.
Okay. This is Alma Burgess, and Alma Burgess is a 98-year-old hard-working soror of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Alpha Alpha Omega Chapter, which was officially chartered at the Center Avenue YMCA. This sorority provides a support network for women with like minds to come together for mutual uplift and the coalescing of their talents and strengths for the benefits of others. Alma Burgess was the honorary chair of Alpha Kappa Alpha's 2016 Founders Day. Her achievements were given recognition in the Spotlight article at the affair. Ms. Burgess continues to exemplify the mission of the sorority even at the young age of 98.
Oh, my.
She was recently honored as a Golden Soror at the Stacking the Deck for Education event, which was held at the Doubletree Hotel in Monroeville. That's our honoree, and we congratulate Alma Burgess.
All right. So we are making Black history right now.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Can we now see Nan Moon Currington? Okay. In her 100 years, Nan Currington of the Hill District has managed to divide her talents between the Pittsburgh Public Schools and her church, and her service only seems to make her stronger. She was born July 23, 1916 in Pittsburgh, the seventh of Nanny Griffin and Thomas Moon's seniors, 9 children. She graduated from Fifth Avenue High School, our school, in 1935, and from Cheney University in 1942 with a bachelor's degree in home economics. She later attended Penn State University and received a master's degree in counseling, supervision, and administration from Bucknell University. As a young woman, she was a finalist in the Marian Anderson Opera Competition in Philadelphia. While singing with the choir at a freshman reception at Cheney, she was accompanied by pianist Robert Ellsworth Currington. They married in 1943 and enjoyed 63 happy years together until his death in 2007. Mrs. Currington has been a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority since 1946. After graduation, she worked at a naval testing laboratory in Munhall and as a social worker for the State Department of Welfare. She was substitute teaching at Arsenal and Wild Schools in 1950 when she sang at a Pittsburgh PTA meeting. At the time, full-time opportunities were limited in the Pittsburgh Public School District, but a board member's recommendation got her a job at her alma mater, Fifth Avenue High School. She worked there for 22 years as a teacher, advisor, counselor, and vice principal. She was also a principal at Langley and dean of students at Greenway before retiring in 1981. Mrs. Currington was a member of Grace Memorial Presbyterian Church for 79 years and served as elder and clerk of session. She formed and directed a young people's choir at the church for many years. She also directed its combined choirs each year in observance of Black History Month. In 1950s and 60s, the choir sang on WWSW AM radio for George Washington Carver Day and for various events on KQV and WQED radio. A member of Mount Hope Presbyterian Church since 2006, Mrs. Currington still sings with the choir. Her favorite song is the Lord's Prayer. Pittsburgh City Council declared July 19th Jan Moon Currington Day in the city. Wow, 100 years old for Nan Currington. Great, that's great. So you can see why these women are being honored by the National Council of Negro Women. Okay, the next picture will be Reverend Gail Harris.
Okay, I'll talk about Reverend Gail Harris. And for those who are just tuning in, we are discussing our 8th Annual Legacy Awards Luncheon, and we have our guest, Ernestine Taylor, with us today, and we are highlighting our honorees. Reverend Gwendolyn Gail Harris is an educational mentor, a musician, and a minister of the gospel. Her life has spanned a career as a college recruiter of African American high school students, chosen from black colleges and universities to attend graduate programs at the School of Urban and Public Affairs at Carnegie Mellon University. She was also an administrator recruiter for the Carnegie Mellon Action Program, a program that was founded to recruit, train, and support minority students enrolled at Carnegie Mellon University. In addition, Reverend Harris was an administrator for the Institute of the Black Family at the University of Pittsburgh under the leadership of Dr. Jerome Taylor. Reverend Harris is fortunate to have a musical career as well. She is classically trained as a musician, and she had the opportunity as a teenager to play with the Pittsburgh Symphony Junior Orchestra. She was headed for a classical music career, however, God had another plan. He anointed her at an early age to not only read and play classical music, but gospel and contemporary music as well. As a result of that special anointing, she chose to become a church musician. She actually started her church music career at the age of 15 when she became the director of the senior choir at Nazarene Baptist Church in Homewood. Her musical journey took her overseas, where she served as a musician for the Armed Service Chapel until her return back to the United States. She was the assistant minister of music at Six Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church for many, many years, and ultimately became the minister of music there. At age 80, with God's help, Reverend Harris is still serving as the minister of music at the St. James Episcopal Church, where she plays faithfully every Sunday. One of her major spiritual highlights was to become one of 5 ministers who started an outreach ministry entitled Have Prayer, Will Travel, Incorporated. They began to walk the streets of Homewood, specifically on the street that was called Murderers Row, better known as Formosa Way. At that time, it was a gangbanger and drug dealer territory, and the 5 women were known as the Praying Grandmothers. They never disclosed that they were ministers, and their goal was simply to show the love of God. This statement epitomizes Reverend Harris's journey of faith. She is a beloved wife, mother, grandmother, and a devoted woman of God. We honor Reverend Gwendolyn Gail Harris.
Nice.
Wonderful.
Nice. So they range all walks of life. And the last one we're honoring alphabetically is Ms. Joan Neal King. Joan Neal King was born and raised in Rankin, Pennsylvania. She graduated from Rankin High School. Joan and her family attended Mount Olive Baptist Church in Rankin. While there, she was a faithful member, belonging to the choir, educational board, and the Agape Sisters. After high school, Joan married and became the proud mother of 2 lovely daughters. While pregnant, Joan's potential for learning was recognized, and she was recommended to attend college. She received a grant from a foundation that encouraged young women to further their education at the University of Pittsburgh. Joan received both her bachelor's and master's degree in education while attending Pitt. She was hired as a teacher by the Pittsburgh public school system. She became known for teaching drama to many students at the Rogers School for Performing Arts. Soon, Joan was chosen to become a consultant, serving in the Language Arts Department. She instructed and supported teachers, encouraging them to apply techniques in teaching creative writing. During her tenure at the Pittsburgh Public Schools, Joan became a member of the Woodlands Hills School Board for many years. After retirement, Joan discovered she had other talents: painting watercolors and writing poetry. Recently, Joan decided to write an article about successful people who once lived in Rankin, Pennsylvania. Joan Neal King's love for children and her work in the community motivated her nomination for the Rankin Mon Valley Pittsburgh NCNW Legacy Award. So that was our last nominee that we're going to honor on March 25th, 2018. So we hope you all come out. You can see the talent that these women have. Now, your mother was honored one year.
Yes, she was. Mrs. Hattie Watts. She was honored at the first Legacy Awards Luncheon, which was held in 2011. And that's an honor that our family and friends deeply cherish.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And I remember her picture. She was all in red with a
Sure
red
was.
hat, the red dress.
Oh, yeah.
We always look at her as Lady in Red. I remember seeing that caption under her picture in one of the newspaper articles also. And Alecia, your mother was honored one year also.
Yes, she was. Miss Wilma Delaney was honored at the 2017 Legacy Awards Luncheon, and it was a great honor. We had lots of family and friends who joined us to celebrate the life and legacy of Wilma Delaney.
And we have a clip of her accepting her award. Can we show the clip of Wilma Delaney?
Not for him, I would not be here today. I will be 90 years old. It is truly a blessing. You need God in your life. I'd like to thank my children for what they have done, and I'd like to thank the organization for this gift. Thank you.
Thank you. And it took a long time to get her to accept this, because hadn't you tried a couple times before?
I believe she was nominated at least 2 or 3 years before on several occasions, and she declined each time. She's a very humble woman, and she didn't want to be recognized in public, but someone talked her into it, and so we were so glad that she enjoyed being honored. Yes.
All right, so now what we can do is we can show some of the other ladies who were honored last year. We have Mother Ethel Williams. She was honored last year. Can we show what she was saying?
Say who I was on the phone with. Get the caller.
Okay. You know what? Before that clip, let's take a caller. Caller, please say your name and where you're calling from.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you so much for calling.
Okay, there you are. I could hear you. And you know, I had my fingers on the dial about 15 minutes ago, and I was getting ready to call in because I had a great question. But when you started showing and reading the bio of those lovely ladies, it was such a history. And I just think your luncheon, this is going to be so nice. We don't normally do these kinds of things, acknowledge sisters who've been trailblazers and who are in their golden years. And so I think it's going to be so unique. And they're all nice looking ladies as well. And the history of just reading the bio was so informative. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. Yes, I will be attending this year.
Oh, thank you.
And to any of the listening audience who's in doubt, I would encourage them, if you want to just get away and just sit back and get a quick history of some of the things happening in this region, this organization, and then Luncheon is the best place for it. Not to mention, you see some gorgeous ladies there with their hats and their outfits that really makes things look really nice as well. And so I enjoyed it. But I wanted to also, before I hang up, is just to give another plug for last year's luncheon. And I still believe I enjoyed myself, and I believe it was the nephew of Dorothy Height that you had there as a speaker. And I think I've shared it with you, Delores, that some of those comments that man-made, and some of the quotes will go there. You got to find a way to print it and to frame it.
Well, you know what?
I think the majority of the people can apply that to their lives, and it was so touching. So I really enjoyed that. I hope you get an opportunity to play some excerpts from that and let your viewing audience get a chance to check that out.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for calling. And as a matter of
Yes,
fact,
thanks again.
we do have a clip. And since you mentioned it, maybe we can play that clip right now. It's the clip of Reverend Daniel Aldridge, and he's the nephew of Dr. Dorothy I. Height. And this.
He is here tonight. I'm going to ask if he would come forward. He is a former executive director for narcotics addiction coordinating organization. He has devoted much of his life to promoting human rights and working to end male violence against women and girls. He's nationally known as a jazz minister, having promoted jazz music in churches for more than 40 years. Currently, he is the manager of the Undistributed Trust, Smiling Faces, and the chair of the Greater Woodward Community Development Corporation. He was also the editor of the Aldridge Guide for Historical Black Colleges, among other works. Let's welcome him to have a few words for us tonight.
Thank you very much to all. I'm really so honored that you honoring both yourselves and my aunt. Aunt Dorothy would have been 105 years old yesterday. Many people talk about the meeting of my aunt. I spent 68 years with her. Grew up in Harlem, right near each other. I just want to say a couple of things about my aunt, just to give you a little bit of her character, which is she was so special. Aunt Dorothy never bragged about what she did. You know, she was not the kind of person who always talked about any of her achievements, though there were many. And during the 60s, people used to come forward all the time because we started beginning to get a lot of positions. You know, I'm the first this, I'm the first that. So Aunt Dorothy would always be meeting people who said, you know, I'm the first president of this, I'm the first one to head that. And she would say, well, just make sure you ain't the last. She didn't have her sense in the things she believed in. A lot of this comes from her mother, my grandmother. Family moved to Rankin in 1916. My grandmother was an active member of the Pennsylvania Federation of Colored Women's Clubs that began back here in 1895, when northeastern Pittsburgh had the largest group of colored women's clubs in the United States. Two things Mom talked about and believed in. She believed in women and colored women. And she carried the motto in her heart. She would say, lift as you climb. Climb as you lift. She said, when you're doing something, you better make sure you're bringing somebody else with you. I don't want to hear about it. So that's where that statement she comes from. If you told me the first, she would always say, just make sure you ain't the last. And she would say it in a way that you understood what she was talking about. The other thing, the other motto, which I carry, and I see being her nephew as an obligation. My mother was her younger sister. There were 4 years between the two of them. We all grew up in the same little neighborhood in Harlem. We had one sister. My mother, we lived on 149th Street. Aunt Josephine on 150th Street. Aunt Golden on 148th Street. Aunt Dorothy on 142nd Street. So we all lived right around each other. And having had no children, my brother and I were essentially the sons of Aunt Dorothy. And she tells me this anytime, in terms of what she believed. She would say, do all that you can for as many as you can, as best you can, for as long as you can. And she said, make your peace with the rest. That was how she lived her life. That was her motto. That's what she stood for. And she was fierce. She was kind. And you know she was fierce because no one was going to head organizations of 200,000, 200 groups of women and not be fierce. 20 groups of black women. You had to keep in check the Deltas, the AKs, the Sigma Gamma Rho's, all the other groups. You had to keep all those folks in check. And she was 5'11", which is tall, and she could look you in the eye, as I would say, with a death stare, and keep you in check. But she was absolutely a wonderful person, totally devoted to the movement, totally devoted to educating black women. And the last thing shortly before her death, and I talked to her pretty soon before.
Every time I hear that, I learn something new. Like, I didn't realize she was 5'11". You know, I knew she was tall, but I didn't know she was 5'11", so she could have been a model. But I'm not technical, so that's why the end cut off. I didn't put the time markers right. So, but it's still, you know, you still heard what he said, and it was still.
It was interesting.
Yes.
I hope he attends this year.
Yeah, we're working on that. One of our members was the principal of the Promise School in Rankin, and they have him come every year because it's around, the luncheon is actually on Dr. Dorothy I. Height's birthday on March 24th, so he's probably called a lot of different places, but she's making calls and he may come. We'll see.
We'll look for him.
So now we do have some clips of some of the other honorees from last year. Can we show Mother Ethel Williams?
Say a few words. I just like to give all the God who's ahead of my life, my pastor, such a wonderful lady. I'm honored to be here. And I like to thank all my children and the son I go to. There's so many things that I could say, but I just can't take them too full. But I thank God for being here. Amen. I thank God for my daughter-in-law. I was around when she got to be a minister. I was right there by her side, so I just thank God. And in Northview Heights, this is funny. I want you all to laugh. I was a doctor, a nurse, a dentist. I pulled teeth. I did something. But I was very proud of what I did. You know, I thank God. And I just want to say, may the work I've done.
Speak for me, yes. Amen.
And this has a picture of the founder of the National Council of Negro Women, Dr. Mary Mathal Bethune, our past president emeritus, Dr. Dorothy I. Height, and it's from the National Council of Negro Women Incorporated, the Rankin-Mon Valley Pittsburgh section, Legacy Award presented to Ethel Williams, Jordan, we found out, for your extraordinary service to your community. Fortified by the past, focused on the future.
They say I'm from Millersville, that's right. But they forgot to mention that. Millersville, Steelers. That's the Steeler country down there. They love the Steelers. So, aren't y'all gonna say something about your Steelers?
That was another one of the members, one of the honorees from last year. Now, this is still Black History Month, so what we usually do at our luncheons is we do the national anthem, the African American national anthem. And so we're going to show a clip of the welcome from last year that also has our national anthem, so you can see that.
Alecia, Gibbs and I am the first vice president of the Rankin-Mon Valley Pittsburgh section of the National Council of Negro Women. I am also the chairperson of this 7th annual Legacy Awards Luncheon. I am so excited to be here with you. I'm so glad you joined us today. Is anyone ready for inspiration? I know I am. I'm ready for inspiration today. And today we are here not just to celebrate 6 amazing women, but we are here to gain inspiration as we go through a journey through the lives of women who have lived 80 years and beyond. That is amazing. As we begin to take our inspirational journey, we will begin this after the video playing of our Negro National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing, and following that video, then the Mistress of Ceremonies, Reverend Brenda Gregg, founder and senior pastor of Destiny of Faith on the north side of Pittsburgh, she will come before you as our Mistress of Ceremony. Let us begin with our Negro National Anthem.
Joy.
okay. I never get tired of seeing that.
Never.
And a lot of people just do the first verse, but from what I understand from one of my elders is you have to do all three verses, because if you don't, you're not telling the story. And the reason the last verse is slow is because it's a prayer. So, but we do have a call. Caller, will you say your name and where you're calling from?
Yes, this is James from the East End.
Hi, James.
And I'd like to say I'm enjoying the show very much, and I do plan to attend the affair.
Right.
I just had one question. I think your honorees have to be 80 or older.
Yes.
Is there any reason why I say it's not 70 as opposed to 80?
Well, we chose that age because the person that the luncheon was inspired by, Dr. Dorothy I. Height, she worked up until she was 98 years old. And President Obama named her the godmother of civil rights. And so she was able to do that, and we felt that the women who are 80 and older and are able to do that, we thought they should be honored, you know, give them their flowers while they're here. But we thought that the person who suggested that thought that 80 was a good year to start it. Do you have a problem with that, or?
No, the Bible says that men and women can look forward to living 70.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people died between the ages of 70 and 80.
Oh,
so that's
okay.
just something that crossed my mind.
Oh, I see. Well, thank you so much. And you said you plan to go this
Yes,
year?
I do.
Very good. Thank you very much. Too bad you weren't the next caller, because the next caller gets a ticket. But thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
And you have a good day. Well, actually, we were singing the song as the film went on. Did you want to?
Yes, I would just, on a personal note, as a member of the NCNW, I'd like to thank the National Alliance of Postal and Federal Employees, Local 510, for their contribution. They took out a full-page ad to honor our honorees, and I'm also a member of the National Alliance. I'm the national editor. And so I'd like to thank our membership for that donation. As well, some of the members will also be attending the luncheon, and I do encourage all of you, if you can, to please come out. If you can't come out, you can send a contribution, you can take out a membership, or you can also take out an ad. So please support NCNW.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And you know, the National Alliance of Postal and Federal Employees gave an ad last year too, so they've always supported our luncheon, and we appreciate that. Now, another inspirational speaker last year, one of the highlights, was but he almost acts like a reverend, but Representative Ed Gainey. And anytime he goes somewhere, he's always inspiring. And we'd like to show that clip, if possible.
Today. Give honor to everybody who helped put this wonderful, wonderful event together. And I did a proclamation, but I'm not going to read the proclamation, but they get long. And they all say the same thing. But I want to congratulate everybody here who was the awardees this afternoon. Your stories was amazing. It was amazing. DJ, you just keep doing what you're doing. We got your back. You know we got your back. People often ask me, particularly in times now, particularly in time that just happened this week throughout this city, a lot of the homicides that have gone on, they say, Ed, what is the difference? What makes the difference? And I always tell them it'll sound corny, but it's real. And today you heard each one of them talk about how deep in the Spirit of God they was. And how in coming up, the Spirit of God led them. And how as they were deposited into the Spirit, they continued to give back in the Spirit so that people could become liberated. That's where it begins right there with the deep faith in God. I often tell them that, as I told my daughter, she turned 21 on March 15th. She said, Daddy, I'm grown. I said, nah, not yet. See, 21 made you an adult. It don't make you a man or a woman. What makes you a man or a woman is when that you graduate in life where you can take care of yourself and understand the responsibility as a woman that you've been given, as a man that you've been given. See, that's the difference between just growing old and growing up. Most adults just grow old, but it takes a man or a woman to understand the pain and joy of growing up. I often tell them that if you want to stop the violence inside of our communities, don't bring the hood into your house. Because you never let the hood replace the love that we grew up on. And if you listen to them today, the greatest gift out of all the gifts that they've been given to build their career, the greatest gift that they deposited in everything that they touched was love. Was love. So as we go forth, let's continue to go in love. Let's not worry about all the politics. Every day, just give love. Let's not worry about the Donald Trumps of the world. Let's just give love. Let's just give love. Because the reality is, you heard the story today, why regardless of who's in the White House right now, we will never be broken. See, when you're a people that's overcome slavery, when you're a people that's overcome being separated from your family, when you're a people that's overcome watching our own women be raped, when you've overcome Jim Crow, 1 and 2, when you've overcome having the right to vote and having to fight for the right, having to fight to be included in everything, the right to vote, the right to school, everything that we fought for, even now in mass incarceration, we are still fighting to improve humanity. See, I'm always reminded that I'm happy that I wasn't born with a privilege, because the privilege has made America weak, because now those that got the jobs over the color of the skin and aborted education are the same one that will follow hate off of a bridge, not understanding that it's love that built the bridge. So as long as we have the right to fight, and I can stand on each one of your shoulders, I know the world will be all right. Thank you.
Amen.
Amen.
Thought we were at church that day, right?
Preach. Everybody's talking about Oprah running for president. We got somebody
right
else.
now. Yes.
He's everywhere.
He
I
really
just saw
is.
him on President's Day at a postal reunion luncheon. He was the keynote speaker for our convention last year. Representative Ed Gainey is just everywhere.
That's true. That's true. The White House might not be far away. So we only have about 10 minutes left. Are there any closing comments? Because I would like to end with a little bit of Khadijah's speech. So if there's any closing remarks, we can do them now, and then we can play as much of Khadijah's speech as possible, because she was very inspiring too. Anyone have any closing comments? Except that we hope that you come to the luncheon on March 24th at the Hosanna House from 12 noon to 3 p.m. And you can call the number up there, 412-953-9583, if you need any tickets or if you have any questions. So to end this show, we'd like to close with some inspiring remarks by Khadijah Diggs, the guest speaker from last year. And you can just end it, you know, when it's time to end it. But please show a little bit of her clip. Thank you.
Of Pennsylvania for the Inner Branch Commission for Gender, Racial, Ethnic Fairness, and chairs its Criminal Justice Committee. We see her all over the city. We see her at many of the fairs as she stands boldly and comes into all of our neighborhoods. She is a native of Pittsburgh who graduated from Peabody High School. I knew somebody would be here to say that. She received her Bachelor's of Arts degree in philosophy with honors from the Pittsburgh University in Nashville, Tennessee. She earned her JD from the Howard University School of Law in Washington, D.C. She is an court system. Her mother, I know, is here, and I don't know where she's sitting, but I just want her to be recognized. Thank you very much. She has an extended family, friends, colleagues who have nurtured and guided her with her passion for public service and her advocacy for all of the justice work that she does. More importantly, she wants us to know that God just adores her. Amen. And I don't know about you, but we adore you too. Come on, let's welcome her to the podium. Let's put our hands together for her.
So I can't even tell you how honored I am that Sister Dupree asked me to be the keynote speaker today. So I do want to share with you greetings for the governor. Let me do that first, because I think that's my job. Page report with 200 recommendations for how to improve equity in our court systems. And then a commission was created where people were appointed by the governor's office, by the legislature, and by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court to actually figure out how to start prioritizing and then implementing those recommendations. There are several committees within that commission. I chair the Criminal Justice Committee. That committee is working on some things that are cutting edge for the nation. So we don't usually get to say that about Pennsylvania, but that's the status that we are at now. And because we have people in Harrisburg who care about these things, they're focused on it. So one of the things that we literally have been working on for the last 15 years, before I even got on the commission, is what goes on with juveniles who have been sentenced to life without parole in the prison system. Pennsylvania has the largest population of people who received a life sentence without parole based on an offense that was committed while they were juveniles by age. And I don't know if you know, but in Pennsylvania, life means life. There are states like Texas where when you get a life sentence, they'll review you at 20 years and start deciding when to parole. That doesn't happen here. In Pennsylvania, a life sentence is actually a death sentence because the expectation is that you will die in prison. So we have 500 people in Pennsylvania who received that sentence over the past 60 years. Literally up until about a year ago, when the U.S. Supreme Court got involved in that issue. And and I have to shout out one of my heroes. Have any of you heard of Attorney Brian Stevenson? Yeah. He is magnificent. He's the executive director of an organization called the Equal Justice Initiative. He is based in Alabama, but he teaches law school at New York University. And one of the things that he has focused on his entire, I think, 35-year career now is people on death row. He has also focused on juveniles who have received these life sentences. And it is his work that went to the U.S. Supreme Court that caused the U.S. Supreme Court to say it is unconstitutional to sentence a juvenile to life without parole as an automatic sentence based on the conviction, which is normally a homicide. Because we know that juveniles behave differently, think differently, and respond differently from adults. That's why we created the juvenile justice system. And because we've become more advanced in that, the people who actually study brain science can literally show you how impulsive juveniles are in their behavior, and that they have a limited ability to connect conduct to consequences. And that's why we don't treat juveniles like adults. Because there's an expectation that if you teach, guide, develop, then you can mold the adult that a juvenile turns into. So all of these things have taken years to get to the Supreme Court. The United States Supreme Court said, do not give juveniles life sentences without parole based on offenses committed in juveniles. That can't be an automatic sentence. And in Pennsylvania, if you're sentenced to first or second, or convicted of first or second degree murder, there is no other sentence. It is life without parole. So, because the U.S. Supreme Court said that, Pennsylvania said, okay, fine, we won't do that anymore. But the people who already had the sentences, we were just going to leave them there serving the sentences. Had to go back to the U.S. Supreme Court to have them say, not only going forward, but retroactively, you can't do that. Because we have this amazing governor who has an amazing Secretary of Corrections, John Wetzel, we have identified that population of people, and we are actively in the process of doing things like preparing them for re-entry. Because once upon a time, there was no expectation that they would ever come back into society. We have people 70 years old who are now eligible to be paroled. 26 people have been released from the prison system as a result of this work.